very soon. We are live. Hi, Lea.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on. I remember, was it about maybe a month or 2 months ago, I mentioned it, and I said to Luke, I'd asked you, and I was like, but I'm expecting you'll say no, and you were like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like,
Luke, it's the least I can do. You've sent so much business my way.
I've loved it, and hopefully lots more tonight, because everybody was going to be tuning in to jump up and say hi to everybody. So my friend Darren is already on, who will have lots of comments deleted very quickly because he just tends to be that kind of guy. But we'll get on to hi, Jess. Hi, everybody. So, Lea, tell us a little bit about you. So I've met you through LinkedIn and started working with you from there. But tell us a little bit about you.
What, outside of LinkedIn?
Yeah, tell us a bit about outside of LinkedIn, and then we'll get into how you became the true queen of LinkedIn. I don't know who gave you that crown.
So I'm a lone parent to my little boy Dexter, and so he's 5.5, and we've been we live in Northampton, and we travel as much as we can, or we used to before COVID.
Those are amazing. You've been all over.
Yeah, we've been around a fair bit. Yeah, that's been the really hard thing about this past year with the whole COVID thing, is that's everything I work towards is always like a holiday. So I'll work really, really, really hard for 3 months, and then we'll just go on holiday somewhere. And that's my downtime. So that's been the real struggle with this past year, is because I've just kept going and going and going and going, and there's not been that break. And that's where I sort of take my mind really rests. So that's been tough. I don't know what else to tell you. I was running a transcription business before I started.
That's what I was going to say. So you were doing that before. You were doing transcription, and you were doing sort of. How did you fall into? Is not. I don't mean that in a bad way, but how did you fall into LinkedIn coaching?
Oh gosh, I can't believe you don't know this. I guess other people don't know it. So in October 2019, I had a phone call from a lady called Naomi, who was doing some transcription for me now and then when I needed her. And she wasn't enjoying her job, and she wanted to work for me full time. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I don't have enough work yet, but I'll find it. I said, give me a couple of months until I get back from Thailand, because I was going to Thailand in January 2020.
Yeah.
So give me until I get back, and I'll make sure that I've got enough clients for you. So I logged on to LinkedIn without really any clue what I was doing. I was just like, oh, well, it's a social media I haven't really played at.
Maybe I'll have any experience with it at all?
No, well, I had a profile like everybody. I had a profile, and it was just there in case I ever needed to find a job, or I don't really know why I had a profile. It was just, I'd got it years ago when LinkedIn became a thing. Everybody got it, but nobody really used it, or certainly not me. So I started looking around to find some more building surveyor clients, and I started connecting with a few building surveyors. I had about 400 connections after the first couple of weeks, and it was all people I went to school with and previous clients, or people that I thought might be clients. And I didn't really know what I was doing, and I felt really intimidated, and I thought, God, no one's going to give a crap what I say. Like, who's interested in what I have to say about anything? Like, these are corporate professionals. Yeah. So I just thought, these aren't people that are going to listen to me. I just run a little transcription business. What do I know about business? And well, I still don't know that much about business. I'm learning at a ridiculous rate.
Very fastly.
Yeah. And so I just started posting a few things, and I didn't really get much traction. I got a few likes here and there, and then I kind of stopped caring. I just saw a few people doing quite social posts, and I thought, hey, do you know what? What have I got to lose? I've got a business. I've got clients. Let's just have a bit of fun with this. And I guess kind of like my family and friends would tell you, like anything in life, I just decided I'm just going to do it my way and see if it works, because I'm not really very good at following other people's instructions and orders. So I just started doing it the way I wanted to do it.
Very well for you.
Yeah. And I think it was like 2 months later, I had about 10,000 people following me. And then it's just gone bigger and bigger. And then in April when COVID hit, well, it was end of March when COVID hit, I was literally, so just over a year ago from today, I was visiting my mum in Cornwall just before lockdown hit. And we'd gone down for Mother's Day. And I was panicking because I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if the school's shut? How am I going to do my work? Because with transcription, I have to do like prolonged time staring at the computer, listening and really focusing. So I was panicking and I was at my mum's, and we ended up staying there for a week. And then they announced that they were putting the country on proper lockdown and we wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So I was like, well, we can't get stuck here. We need to be at home. So I went home, and my business, like the rug was pulled out from under my business. My clients were like doctors and building surveyors, and they couldn't see patients, and the building surveyors couldn't go into houses. So I started sort of thinking, well, what else am I good at? And somebody, I was friends with somebody, and they were just like, no, you can't do LinkedIn coaching. It's so cliche. Like, what do you know? You've only been doing it for 5 months or something. And then it got to about May, and business had really slowed. And I was just thinking, like, I was busy, but it was just me, and it wasn't enough it wasn't enough to keep me going long term. And I didn't know how long lockdown was happening for. So I thought, do you know what? I'll give it a try.
Only we all knew.
Yeah. And back in May, I gave somebody a free coaching session, and said, is this enough for me to charge for it? And he said, yeah. There was loads there. It would be really worth that price. So that was £99 for an hour. And I booked about 20 sessions in the first couple of weeks. I was run off my feet doing these coaching sessions, and it got bigger and more and more and more. And then I coached a couple of people that went, you're not charging enough. You are not charging anywhere near enough. Double it. And I'm like, I can't. Like, £99 for an hour. That was like what I was getting paid in a whole day. And I'd be transcribing for like 8 hours, 9 hours to get that money. And so I think it was August, I did double it. And then October, I doubled it again. And now it's even
When
more.
are you now booked up till? Like,
I'm booked up till middle of May, and I've got loads of corporate. So the last 2 weeks, I'm having a bit of time off because I'm doing some business development. I'm working on an online course at the moment. And then I'm starting back in the end of next week, and I'm fully booked till middle of May. I've been booked for the 2 months in advance.
I know when I sent someone across to say, oh, just drop Lea a message, and as soon as she can get you in, and they rang me back, I'm like, so she can't get in till, I was like, yeah, but it'll be worth the wait. And I think that's what you hear back from all the clients, isn't it? That yes, you might have to wait, but somebody who can get you in tomorrow is probably not going to be offering the same thing.
It was one of those weird parts of all of this, is that I used to think if I didn't get somebody in, they'd go to somebody else. And I started compromising my own life and going, oh, well, I can just fit you in and I'll do an evening and I can do this. And then Jerry and a few others had a stern word with me, and they're like, you can't do this. If you're booked up, they just have to wait. And I actually realized that when I say, I'm sorry, I'm fully booked, you can't get in, they wait.
They will wait. That's what it's worth. It's worth waiting for. And
all that anticipation builds up.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are building to that anticipation and that excitement of that appointment of what it's going to be like. And I mean, lots has happened since I had my first appointment with you, but I absolutely loved it. I remember sitting there, and I think you told me about 3 things about 10 minutes in. I was like, that's enough for the whole of everything. And you're like, no, we've got the rest of the hour. And I was like, I couldn't believe how much there was to know. And so just before we get onto that and LinkedIn and why you think it now has changed, because I do think COVID has had an impact on it. Tell us about don't tell us all the secrets of it, but tell us about your webinar this week that you held for the first time, sold out, because people can still purchase that, can't they, and still catch up?
Yeah. So I hadn't done one before, and Jerry had started doing some, and she said, you need to do it. And I thought, well, because I was taking 4 weeks off from coaching. So I decided to allow myself to have 4 weeks to start doing some business development, because there's loads of things I've got in my head that I just haven't had time to turn into reality, products and things like that. So I decided to do a webinar, like a masterclass, and it didn't go into everything that I know, but it went into quite a lot of detail, all sorts of tips and tricks and how to use LinkedIn to be most effective, and not to spend hours and hours scrolling aimlessly, which so many people do. They spend so much time on LinkedIn, scroll, no idea what they're doing. There's no strategy to it. So that really helped people to understand. And it also came with like a free profile guide. So that I've sell that on my website as well, but the free profile guide. So we talked about profile a little bit, and then they could go away and follow the sort of instruction manual for it. I hated doing it. I'll be totally honest. The only reason I hated doing it is because I like this back and forth. So I like the groups and I like the one-to-ones because I can see people and I can interact with them. But on the webinar, you can't see anyone.
Oh, like, you can't even see who's watching?
No, because there was 100 people watching. I couldn't see them all on the screen. So it's just me talking to a computer screen. So there's no bounce back, no facial. So I had Louise, my she, bless her, she bought a ticket and she jumped in at the last minute to help me because I needed a VA to help me doing the tech stuff. So she jumped in and did it with me, and she was amazing, like massively highly recommend her. But I didn't enjoy doing it. I felt like the first hour I basically just didn't breathe. Like I just held my breath. And I knew I was going to find it really hard because it's so far out of my comfort zone the only reason I limited, people kept saying, how did you sell out a webinar? I was like, because I picked 100 tickets. I decided how many tickets I was going to sell and I sold them all. Because obviously there's like an unlimited amount of people you can have on a webinar. But I chose a specific number. And I didn't want more than that because I was like, I just want
100 people is still a lot of people to book on and pay to see
£80 a ticket.
An £80 ticket to see you. And, like, I'm not saying that long ago, but you'd pay. I used to, like, go and see Take That or something, do a performance, and I know that's showing how cheesy my taste is.
Take That.
Don't judge me. But people pay that to go to a concert or a live event or whatever. And they've paid that because they know the investment they're making in sat at home, watching what you've got to offer, knowing how important that is to running their business. That must feel pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's the weirdest thing because I don't think about it that much. And I get told off by my mentors and my friends regularly. And they're like, you need to think about how far you've come. You need to think about what you've achieved. Stop worrying that you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You need to focus on where you've come from. But it's really hard because, especially on LinkedIn, you're surrounded by other people that are constantly achieving, like high achievers. Yeah. And there's this audience kind of watching everything that I do and cheering me on. And it's almost like I don't want to let people down. So I want to keep pushing and I want to keep doing better and better and better. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's quite overwhelming because in my head, I'm still very much this lone mum who has this little transcription business that doesn't really know what the hell's happened the past year. And I'm like, because the hardest thing is that it doesn't exist in my real world yet, because although I'm earning a lot more money than I ever in my life dreamed of, and although I've got all these people looking to me and asking me for help, and big corporations and CEOs and like incredibly successful people that I would never normally even have a conversation with.
Yeah.
But I still live in the same house and I still drive the same car. And I've still got a broken tumble dryer and I've still got a crap garden that is a mess. And my dogs are still completely bonkers. And my son is still the same. And we haven't been on any wild holidays. Nothing in my day-to-day life, like material-wise, has changed. I just have a house deposit sat in my bank account, which I've been dreaming of for years. And I never, ever thought I would achieve. And I've managed to put that away.
How does that feel? That
I can't even describe it.
Worked for that security for your future.
I started 2020 in Thailand with my little boy, and I'd saved and worked my ass off for months and months and months to afford it. And I had £3,000 in the world. That was it. That was my just in case fund if we got evicted from our house because the landlord wanted it back, which had happened. We've moved so many times, house to house to house. And it's always just like, okay, that's the money that I've got just in case. I was getting tax credits from the government. I was getting like some of my childcare was being paid for. I was getting housing allowance to top up my earnings. And then in September, I said to the government, I don't need anything anymore. Yeah.
That's mind blowing. That actually makes me feel a bit emotional, actually.
It makes me feel really emotional when I think about it, because if you had said to me a year ago, like, if you could get a job, any job, like, what's the salary that you would, like, what's your target salary? What would you want to be earning? I was like, in my wildest dreams, I would hope for like 40 grand a year. I've made that since the beginning of this year. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
You've done it. There's no other person. It was nobody else's idea. This is people paying to come and listen to you to be coached. And I think what's incredible now, and I've mentioned this to you before, loads of people that I've spoke to have come to you. But I was on, I attend like a personal development group, and they had a meeting in America this might be 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we were all just asked to people who inspired us and whatever else. And this guy, I think you might know him, Thomas Gray, is it? And he was in there, and he was just out of everybody. And I was in this meeting, nobody in there is Lea, and he was talking about you and how much you inspired him and how much you'd changed his presence on LinkedIn. And so and this was just a meeting with nobody else there knew who you were except me. And I was like, oh, Lea, and we had a conversation. We were all talking about you. And that's something the other side of the world, and me and this person had never met, and it was just incredible. So you definitely get a bit of traction on your posts now, I imagine. Like, I bet a bad day for you is, I can't even imagine what a bad day on traction post for you.
I posted yesterday, and it was a bank holiday Saturday, so it was a stupid idea, really. I don't normally post on bank holidays, but it was just to put the webinar. I wanted to pin it to my profile. That's probably the worst performing post I've had in a while. It was like 170 reactions.
Yeah. That'd be me popping open the champagne, I think. If I got that many, I'd just be buzzing. So, talking of LinkedIn, so a lot of the people that are on tonight, people that are watching tonight, are Facebook. They might have built their business through Facebook. And as I've said to you, more and more of my team are coming over to you now. Do you think it has significantly changed LinkedIn, or has it always been the platform that it is now, that you can be more?
No, it hasn't always been like that at all.
No,
not at all. I've had conversations with people at LinkedIn who have said that they are deliberately trying to make the platform more human now. They want people to be talking about who they are, not just what they do or what they know. I think COVID has accelerated it, which has probably been part. I mean, I want to say it's the reason that my profile grew so quickly, but it's not, because my profile was growing really fast before COVID happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, back in October 2019, we didn't even, like, there was no news of COVID whatsoever. Like, I think there was sort of mutterings in November about what was something happening in China, but it hadn't affected us. And so I think my profile would have accelerated anyway, but I think there was a lot of people suddenly craving adult interaction, because that water cooler chat, that coffee break chat that we used to have in the office, and not me personally because I work from home, but that people had in the office, they didn't have that. So they wanted to have that adult conversation, that, I guess, just that banter, that bit of fun, that other adults to swap ideas with and to talk to, and we didn't have it. And I was maybe relentlessly positive, like, not all the time. I was always real, but and I didn't care about embarrassing myself, and I was quite open to kind of being humorous and familiar with people, because that's just me. Yeah. Like, the way I am on LinkedIn, the way I speak to people and engage with people, that's how I am in real life. Like, I'm flirty and over friendly and reasonably, like, confident and bubbly, I guess.
In real life as well.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that's what has helped with your profile, but I think it's all about what you know, and I think you are an expert in that field. So that doesn't just happen, Leah. Like, I know that you're like, well, it was growing anyway or whatever, but you don't just become that good, because it's not just the coaching. People come back and people are recommended because they're getting the results. So some of the posts that you share and some of the traction and some of the things and works that you're doing with people is just phenomenal. And I've seen lots of posts. I'm sure you can probably name more than me where you've worked with someone and it's just transformed how their business has gone. What do you think the biggest thing is? I know I've talked a lot when I've talked about you, about just you telling me to be myself.
That's probably the biggest transformation. Yeah. While I tell people that I'm a LinkedIn trainer, I think the majority of people that I work with who have come to me not too sure about who they are online would tell you that I'm not a LinkedIn trainer. I'm more of a confidence coach, not intentionally.
No, I agree.
That's what I do. So there are people like Luke Manson, who I know you love. I love as well. And I didn't know that he had Tourette's when we first started chatting. I'd offered him some support and some help because he was looking for a job. That's how we got chatting. And then he told me that he had Tourette's and he had a video that he wanted to post, or I'd said to do a video, and he really didn't want to post it. And then he posted it, and his life has exploded since then. His confidence, he's got clients coming out of his ears. He's incredible at what he does. He's done his speaking. Like, he absolutely blows me away. Rebecca Brown really didn't have the confidence to be herself, and then now she's like a massive anti-bullying advocate. She really is herself. She gets so much engagement. They're getting loads of clients off LinkedIn. You're absolutely killing it. Ian Dempsey.
We've got Ian on this week.
Oh, I love Ian. Ian's a really good friend of mine now, and I know he's both of our financial advisors.
Yes.
So he and he's changed the game. Like, he's going out on his own soon, and it's all because of LinkedIn. And now he's just himself, and he understands how to communicate who he is and what he does combined. You don't have to do one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't need to sell on LinkedIn. People will pick you to work with because they want to have that experience of working with you over somebody else. There are 10,000 financial advisors on LinkedIn. Why pick Ian? Well, you need to pick Ian because he's somebody that you trust and you know you'll enjoy working with.
And he's also promised me a lot of chomp bars, which I'm still waiting for, the chocolate. But
oh, really?
Yeah, he's promised me some, so we'll chat about that next week. But so what would you say is now? I don't want to say what's your top tip for LinkedIn, because you can't do a top tip for LinkedIn. But for somebody who sat there thinking, well, I've got a profile exactly like you were, exactly like I was. I've got a profile on LinkedIn, but I don't touch it. I don't use it. It's just there. What would you say to those people?
Go and buy my profile guide from my website. Fill your profile in first before you do anything else, because there's absolutely no point in commenting and getting really visible. Your profile is the place that you can sell yourself. People are in a buying mindset. They're on your profile to find out about you. Keep them on there as long as possible and tell them as much as you can about who you are and what you're offering. Fill it all in first, and then go out and start connecting with active people that are your ideal clients, or that will be connected to your ideal clients. Grow your network intentionally full of people using LinkedIn to build a community, to have those conversations. And don't worry too much about posting to start with. Just start building your visibility by going and actually engaging with lots of other people. Comment on theirs. Give on LinkedIn. It's all about giving. The more you give, the more generous you are with your time and your advice and your support, the more it gives back to you. And that's been the key with me, is actually I didn't worry so much about posting to start with. I just commented on loads of other people's stuff. So they got to know me and the kind of person I am. And don't worry so much about selling. The sales will come when you've built your community around you. I think that's probably my top tip.
I think that's it. And you'd put it, and you give a lot of free advice, if you like, on your profile. You're always adding value, but you'd posted something recently, and it's one of the things that stuck in my mind, which was it was something along the lines of concentrate more on what you're commenting on other people's posts, or more time or more energy than worrying about your own posts all the time. And it was just about kind of stop spending a whole week trying to decide what you're going to post, and spend that time and energy commenting, engaging, adding value to other people's. And it was like a light bulb.
I think one of the things people really forget, so back in the day, before Facebook's privacy function sort of shut us down a bit more, if you commented on one of my posts on Facebook, your network on Facebook, all your friends would see, like, Sarah commented on this, and they'd see my post. So that Facebook doesn't do that anymore, but LinkedIn still does.
Yeah.
So that organic reach means that if you're commenting on other people's content, their connections and the other people commenting are seeing that, and your own network are seeing the value that you've added. So you can talk about your expertise, and you can add value, and you can support people. And that's all helping to build your reputation on LinkedIn. People can see what you're up to.
Yeah.
And they might not even notice it consciously, but they're building up that subconscious reputation of the kind of person that you are. And if you're always offering positive affirmations and support and advice, and, you know, congratulating people, or sharing job posts, or commenting, you know, good luck, hope you get a job, commenting visibility, you're doing all of that stuff, and people are seeing it, and they're getting to know the kind of person that you are.
And they get to know you and trust. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you said about Ian, I remember watching Ian's videos for ages, or posts, and a lot of it was, I was thinking, this guy's really good. He was breaking down how my savings would work, working with him. And it wasn't one day I just thought, oh, I'll do that. It was the connections. And then over time, I'd make a joke and he'd comment back, and then you were connecting. And suddenly I was like, oh, I need to start thinking about investments. He was the person that I instantly went to because I already knew and had a relationship with him. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's it. I think a lot of the people on LinkedIn, they go on LinkedIn and they just expect to immediately get clients. And it's not like that. People will see you being consistent. They'll see your name appearing. They'll see you offering advice. They'll see something about the service that you've offered, or a client that you've worked with that had really great results. And they're building up this familiarity with you. And eventually, when they need what you do, you are the forefront in their mind. I still get people coming to me and asking me if I can do transcription for them. Now, I haven't done any transcription or advertised myself as a transcriber in 6 months. But people still remember that I do it because I posted and I wrote things that stuck in their minds about it. And so even now, I'm still getting inquiries about it. So the power of being familiar and standing out in people's minds is unparalleled, really. Marketing is about standing out and being distinctive and being memorable. So if you can be memorable, it doesn't matter what your service is, because at some point they're either going to need you or know somebody that needs you, and you will be the one that they say.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing that people forget, that it's not always about that person, but if you're just nice and genuine and care, when somebody else needs you, they'll recommend you, because
all the time.
Community.
You're basically turning this is what I say to companies that I work with. If you take all of your employees, and you turn them into your brand ambassadors on LinkedIn, talking about the company, how great they are, the amazing results they have, who that person is connecting with their own network, and that network are acting as, you know, your word of mouth. So if you needed a LinkedIn coach, or any of your staff, they're going to come to me, because I'm always going to be the one that you remember to recommend, because it just makes sense, doesn't it? Like,
makes sense. And I was
trying to 30 employees and they're all posting on LinkedIn 3 times a week. Think how many eyeballs you're getting on your brand, that headline, your company name, the reputation you're building up. It's just mad. It's just
absolutely. And I was chatting to Rebecca and Dan not long ago about customer experience, and how a lot of the time, and it's kind of seen that in that sense of all those people, even when they're not purchasing for you, they are your walking adverts. They are the people that are going around talking about you without you even being aware of it.
Your influencers. Your influencers.
Absolutely. And that's it. So one of the other things, and I don't want to keep you all night, but one of the other things I like to talk about, and I mentioned to Jerry a couple of weeks ago as well, was how do you deal with the haters and the trolls and the inappropriate people, and just the people that, because you must, if I get an odd message or the odd comment, I'm like mortified, because on my radar, you must get those, as much as you get all the good, you must get percentage of bad as well, or don't you get that much?
I don't get that much. Not now.
That's amazing.
The bigger my profile's got, the less hate that I've got.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it before?
It still happens. It's just not as frequent, because I think people are a bit more like, oh, they've got a platform. Maybe I should behave myself. I get them every now and then. Like, I've had a few in my, I get probably a couple a day where it's just men going, hi dear, or hi cutie, or something along those lines. So I just, like, someone messaged me today going, someone sent me like a kissy face today and said, hey, it's great to meet you. I was like, that's a bold assumption. It's not going to go well for you, this conversation. You don't start a conversation with a kissy face. I depends on my mood. Sometimes I will just endlessly torment them for my own amusement, like a cat with a mouse. Sometimes I will turn them into an amusing meme and use them for PR. Sometimes I just block them because I can't be bothered.
I was going to talk about that with the fueling, because, and I know we did a joke. Luke helped us create a joke video that you did where we all wrote something, which was amazing. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
This is really good.
It was so good. And we'll share all your links on here afterwards so people can find you on Instagram and LinkedIn and stuff. And that was great. But we knew that. I was thinking, but some of them, you did the memes one. Were they genuine comments people had sent you then?
Yeah. Yeah, all of them. Even that last one.
Wow.
I know. When it comes to thinking about trolls, and this is one of the things a lot of my clients will say to me, because they worry that putting themselves out there, especially being very authentic, that the comments will hurt more and that people are going to target them. And the thing I always try and remind people is that people who try to deliberately bring other people down have something severely lacking in their own life. Happy, well-adjusted, secure, successful people do not spend a single moment of their day trying to hurt, belittle, or damage another human being. They just don't do that. Happy people do not behave that way. So I just sympathize with them, really. I mean, I will torment them if it feels like they deserve it, but quite often, and I've done this on more than one occasion, I meet them with kindness because they don't know what to do with it. And someone said something horrible on a post of mine a couple of weeks back, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Kevin. It seems like you've had a bit of a personality malfunction. I do hope you're feeling better soon. Have a lovely day. And they're like,
why is she not just telling me to? Oh.
Yeah, but then they come back and they come back and they come back, and inevitably they can't spell for shit. Everything is written badly. They're using numbers instead of letters. They're just getting abusive. And in the end, he did get quite abusive on my posts, like calling me names and swearing. So I just reported all of his comments, and his profile got deleted because he wrote like 10 offensive comments in a row. So I just reported all of them, and then I had an email saying his account had been removed.
Which is the right answer, but I love the fact that before that you did try the kindness.
Yeah,
you tried that.
They're just vile, absolutely vile. I had a guy from an international law firm, a partner at an international law firm, that was sending me inappropriate messages. So I sent it to his HR department.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's their name on his profile. It's their name needs besmirching with his behaviour. And as it turned out, I wasn't going to do it. And then I had a conversation with another woman who looked very similar to me, nose rings, blonde hair, tattoos. And she messaged me asking if I had heard any, because apparently it happened. There was 3 of us. I don't know who the third one was. But we all sent screenshots to HR, and there was a full-on investigation. This is like an international, worldwide known law firm.
But that's how things have got to change, isn't it? There's certain things, behaviour that has to be called out.
The reason these kind of men, and I'm not like all men. I know that this isn't all men, before anybody thinks I'm
not having that hashtag starting on this. You really know.
The kinds of men that send these messages on LinkedIn, the ones that are in very professional, well-respected positions, they're probably the ones that are grabbing their secretary's arse at every moment, or intimidating the receptionist, or making inappropriate comments to the secretary. And the reason they get so angry when women like me or Jerry we'll expose, like we'll post a screenshot of somebody that sent us an inappropriate message or something. I do blur the names out now, but the reason they get so upset is because they know that they're doing that. Yeah. And one day Sandra from the office is going to see one of our posts and feel a bit more confident, and she'll stand up for herself and she'll report the
absolutely.
Our behavior gives other women the confidence to stand up for themselves, and that's what the men that do that, that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of women actually standing up for themselves and encouraging other women to stand up for themselves and saying, your behavior is not appropriate anymore. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm reporting them to HR and their wives finding out. That's what it's fear, their behavior, their aggression. And that tends to be it. I get the sort of, and I hate to be stereotypical, but it tends to be like white men in their 50s or like 50s to 60s. That tends to be the demographic of men that come. Not all of them. Like there's some amazing people that match that demographic that I have amazing friendships with on LinkedIn. But whenever it is one that's coming at me with aggression and nastiness and sexist comments, always that demographic.
And I think it's the fact that it's when you call them out on it, and so often, unfortunately, they just get away with it, and they just, I mean, I can't imagine for a second that they're ever successful in these posts or comments. So I don't really know why they do it. But when someone comes at them, most people ignore them, and I'm that person. I ignore and I delete or whatever. But recently, more than ever, I have been that person that is reporting or responding back. And kind of, I said something to Jerry the other week about the fact that I was feeling a little bit more confident to say, do you know what? That's not okay. I'm not just going to delete it and pretend it didn't happen. I am going to say, call you out. And Luke did something very similar recently with some of the people that had been calling him out for things on his Tourette's and just being horrible into his inbox. And I just don't understand what the motivation is. These
the
people.
keyboard warriors that think that they can get away with this behavior because no one's going to stand up for them or no one's going to find out, and they will find out. But I've been that girl in the office that was like, I worked for a company, and I was at a very posh restaurant having dinner with my boss and his best friend and his best friend's wife, and his best friend was rubbing my leg under the table. And I couldn't do anything about it because I was in this incredibly posh restaurant. I had bright pink hair. I was like 24. And this man's wife was sat opposite me. There was nothing I could do. If I'd have stood up and thrown my glass of wine in his face, I'd have been dragged out of the restaurant and I'd have lost my job. So I was completely manipulated and taken advantage of in that situation. And I never said anything. And if it was me now, I'd have smacked the guy, job be damned. And I would encourage any woman to do exactly the same thing. But I owe it to myself to stand up to every single one of these men that would have been that man that did that to me in that restaurant that time. And that was one of many, many, many occasions that I could tell you about where a man had done something inappropriate towards me. I couldn't even list them all in my lifetime, but I'm old enough and confident enough now to stand up for myself. And in standing up for myself, I'm standing up for
everyone else. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it just takes one man to go, actually, maybe I won't do that again because this is a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
And I've made a difference.
And it's not okay. This is the bit that it's ridiculous that we're even saying it, but it isn't okay to behave like that. And yet some people just do seem to think, yeah, it's fine. It's just crack on and have a bit of fun with it.
Not on my LinkedIn. I will fight them to the death.
Yes, that's what we like. And if you've got a question, do call them out. It's the best way. So before I let you go then, what has been, if you can answer this, what has been the best bit of the last year? When lockdown's been terrible, and it's been horrific. People have lost so much. People have been down and low and lonely. I see you as this, and I do see you as this. It's not me just looking up to you, but it is you just championed this year as a lone parent, not as just a business owner before, because you had your own business, you did your own thing, but you have launched a new one, skyrocketed it, whilst remaining a lone parent in lockdown, in a national pandemic. What has been the highlight for you? Like, if you can think of one.
The highlight has been the people that have come into my life. Like, yeah, the money and the security is great. But the people and the confidence that I've developed it. Like, I've still got a long way to go, but the confidence in my own potential and my own ability has come from the people like Jerry, like Luke, like you, like Ian, like all of the people, all of my clients that have left my sessions and gone, oh my God, this was amazing, and continue to support me and continue to shout about my services. It's been the people, like the people that show up on my posts and support me and encourage me, and having this, it feels like, I feel like Susan Boyle, right, on Britain's Got Talent. I feel like I've been this underdog that's got up on this stage and everyone's gone, she's great, we want to see her do really well, and the whole crowd has just gone, we're behind her, and they're just constantly encouraging me. That's what it feels like. I know I'm not Susan Boyle, because I definitely
I was going to say, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Susan Boyle in that sense, but I can't see the similarity.
But that kind of underdog story,
I know what you mean.
That's what it feels like to me. And that's why I'm still sort of stood on this stage going, shit me, is this real? Like, is this really happening? Like, sometimes I just have to say the things out loud, because I'm just like, I can't actually believe this is real life. And I think as lockdown lifts, and as I start getting out into the working world a bit more, going to meetings and getting to do, like, hopefully in-person corporate events and speaking work, it's going to start becoming more real. Because at the moment, all these people know who I am online, and every now and then I have a message going, oh, I think I saw you in such and such, and someone's like spotted me in real life somewhere and recognized me. And I've had a few people like walk up to me in the street, because I've got 78,000 followers worldwide, but my posts reach lots of different people. So I get people like have approached me in the street. I think that's going to be the weird thing about coming out of lockdown, is people like that. Yeah, no, that real life encounter.
I know people joke about it, but it is an influencer. It is this role that suddenly you're all over, and people think they know you as well.
And that's the hardest adjustment, is because I'm not actually, despite the way I look and choosing to be covered in tattoos, I've never been the kind of person that needs to be the center of attention and in the limelight. Like at a party, I'm not the one dancing, having a dance off in the middle of the nightclub or anything. I'm the one at the bar chatting up a lad, or in the corner stroking someone's dog and having a really intense conversation with one person. I'm not I'm comfortable in the limelight, but it's not my chosen place to be. So that's probably been the hardest adjustment, is actually getting comfortable being uncomfortable with so many eyeballs examining everything that I do, and people thinking that they know me, and like they do know me, that is the real me, but I'm very protective when it's my son as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like having to change, I had to change because I got a limited company now, and I got VAT registered and all of this, but I had to buy a registered address, because I couldn't have my address accessible online, because I had like threats from someone in America, and like people knowing where I live and stuff is like, I have to be really careful. So because you don't know who's watching. And then like when I had actual like death threats,
you go on company's house and stuff. I remember, because when I moved to Jerry's accountants, they've put it all through as their address and done it that way for that reason. When you're VAT registered or limited, your address comes up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's on company's house. So I had to change it, and I had to pay for a registered address. And like, I can't, lots of people have asked if they can send me gifts, and I can't have people sending gifts to my house. So a few people have sent stuff to Jerry, and she sent it on, which is really kind, but you know, it's very tricky. I have to be really vigilant, because I do live alone. I do live with my son, and it's like, you just don't know when you're that visible online. So it can be like
scary.
It's just having that extra. I don't feel threatened. I've never felt.
Isn't it? It's having like a radar. Like, I've just got to think about it. So I'm going to let you go, but I am going to ask one final question. Unfortunately, for some reason, the comments haven't been appearing on here, but I can see them on my phone. So I haven't been able to ask all the questions, but I may have to book you in again at another time to get you back for those.
I'll go into the comment sections and reply.
Yeah, and look, but say somebody sat there now, not particularly as a LinkedIn coach, but thinking, oh, I really want to go for this business. I really want to try. I really want to do this thing, or I want to. whatever was holding you back, what made you actually just go for it, like all in, take some hold'em, all into your business? What would you say to somebody who's just waiting to go?
Where do you want to be in a year's time? Because that's why you need to act now. There's so many people put things off and they're like, what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? I'll just wait until. But it's not guaranteed. None of that time is guaranteed. And I don't ever want to. I lost my dad when I was 10. My dad was only 41. That's 5 years older than I am now, right? I am not putting off anything until tomorrow. I'm not gonna. People say to me, "Don't travel with your little boy. He's not gonna remember. Wait until he's older. Wait until he's older." Like, what if I'm not here when he's older? What if I've missed my opportunity? Why wait? If it's something.
No, now I do it when he's older, yeah.
But I just don't see, if you're confident that you can do it and it's something that you're passionate about, you will make it successful. The amount the tenacity that you have when, like, I love what I do now. I'm really passionate about it. I've got so many ideas and people are like, you work too much. It doesn't feel like work to me because I love it.
Yeah.
And when you really, really love something, you don't need a work-life balance because your work is your life. You love it. Yeah, it's your hobbies, it's your passions, it's everything all rolled into one. So as long as you make time for your family and to rest, you don't have to scale back. You don't have to beat yourself up. If you want it enough, you'll work hard at it until it is a success. So, but get a good LinkedIn network to support you.
Yes, and at the end of that, I was going to say, make sure that your first task is to book in with Jerry. To book in with Lea, sorry, not Jerry.
Booking with me, get Jerry as your accountant.
But booking with you, and like you said, there's plenty of ways. You've got plenty of prompts on your website, but they can book in and have that one-to-one session, which from everybody I've spoke to, they've just gone, that was the best thing ever. And
your team that came was so lovely, those girls.
Well, Leanne couldn't make tonight to watch, and she messaged me and she's like, I can watch it back, can't I? I was like, yeah. She's like, I really just love it. I was like, I know. Yeah.
Oh, they were so lovely, all of them. It was brilliant fun with them.
So thank you so much for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. And we will go back through the chat, but I will pop all your links and stuff on there as well. All right.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
See you later.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.